Hello and welcome to the NDTV Dialogues, a conversation of ideas. This episode, that conversation with Aamir Khan. Aamir Khan, thank you very much for joining me on the NDTV Dialogues.
Thank you.
You've just had a milestone birthday.
Yeah.
At 50, many people look back, and if you had to look back at the young man who entered the film industry with Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak, what advice would you give that young man?
Oh, what advice will I give him? Well, I don't know. I'm not much of a person for giving advice. I think it's fun to discover and learn on your own. I think I would just tell that young person that, do what you believe in and don't compromise with what your dreams are. If you need to compromise to achieve your dream, that's okay. But don't compromise with the dream itself. And believe in yourself, believe in your dreams, and do what your heart says. That's all I would tell him.
Did you think in that journey, a journey with ups and downs, but many successes on the way, that you would be at a stage now where you perhaps look at more than just acting? Because in a sense, you have evolved as much more of an activist, some would say. You speak passionately on issues you feel about, which are beyond movies. Is that a role you're more comfortable in today?
Actually, I don't see myself as an activist, I understand that people, with me doing Satyamev Jayate, for example, they feel that I'm being an activist. But I'm not. Actually, I'm not, because I think an activist, as I see it, is a person who's very, takes up one issue and remains with that one issue for his entire life. I'm not doing that. What I am doing is I understand that as a creative person, I need not stop at just entertaining people. I can take that one step further, which is to try and affect people's minds and how they think and how they look at things. I understand that I'm able to connect with people. I have an emotional bonding with people. My strength lies in my ability to tell stories and to touch people's hearts and to move them. So I'm trying to use that skill. My attempt is to use that skill in trying to look at problems that face us as a society and see if we can address those.
Is it difficult but then to move on, like a topic like female feticide, or whether you're talking about corruption in politics? Is it difficult to move on then from big to big? How do these
move
issues
on from?
Do these issues stay with you, like for an
issue?
They
do. Yeah, of course they do.
So then, how does that influence your role in choices of movies? How does it change you?
Well, I guess it's changed me in many more ways than I understand myself. To begin with, I've become much more understanding, much more sensitive, a lot more patient and absorbing.
But in your choices of movies as well, do you find that it's changed you at all in that?
Not really. Not really. For me, my choices of movies have always been personal expressions of what I'm feeling then and there at that time when I'm reading a script or I'm listening to a script. It's my personal reaction to that. And never have I ever selected scripts based on what message the film is giving. That's not how I select my scripts. I'm not like, okay, now which message should I give? Or here is a film with a message, let me do it. For me, the driving emotion of selecting a film is that I just love that story. It may give a message, it may not give a message, that's fine, I just loved it. For example, when I do a film like Delhi Belly, I find it really funny. It's a really funny film. It doesn't have any message as such. It's just a really funny film. It's very irreverent. It's got great humor and great characters and great lines, great one-liners. I just love it for what it is. So I want to produce it. So it doesn't. The films don't have to have a message. If they do have one, great.
It's interesting you brought that up, because many of course use the Delhi Belly parallel with AIB Roast, and everybody said, oh, how could you criticize AIB Roast when you made a film like Delhi Belly?
I don't know how far that is a true statement. I can criticize anything. I mean, just because I make Delhi Belly doesn't mean so it's got nothing to do with it. You can disagree with my criticism, that's fine, that's totally fine. But I can have an opinion on things just because I've made a comedy like Andaz Apna Apna doesn't mean I can't criticize comedies thereafter. Once you've made a comedy, you can never criticize comedies. That logic doesn't make sense to me. So I do films that excite me. Sometimes I see stuff which doesn't excite me. Sometimes in the case of AIB Roast, in fact, it was actually an emotional response, in that case, because I mean, I've spoken about it before, so I don't want to go into details, but there were people who had signed up for the roast, and then there were people who had not signed up for the roast, and the people who had not signed up for the roast were, you know, spoken with, were said about them which were very, which affected me badly, and they were about people who I know very closely. So I got upset by that, and I felt that it's unfair that a person who's not signed up for the roast, you're insulting publicly in front of so many people. That person is not there to protect himself or herself, and that's not on. You want to, you know, do that to people who've signed up, that's fine. That's what I was really upset about.
Do you find yourself a misfit sometimes now? Because I mean, you know, you said that every film of mine doesn't have to have a message, but there is a certain expectation that Amir Khan hai, koi to message hoga, or he's taken a film which will be maybe not a cause, but it's a film which will be slightly more serious than maybe a typical what's seen as a blockbuster, or maybe a Salman Khan or a Shah Rukh Khan kind of movie, or anyone else also.
I don't think so. I don't think the people really know what to expect from me. Quite honestly, yeah.
That's true.
Because I don't know what to expect from myself. I mean, you know, immediately after Tare Zameen Par, the film I did after that was Ghajini. I mean,
Yeah,
the two films can't be more poles apart. You know, I did Dhoom 3, which is, you know, totally an out-and-out entertainer, and bike chases and stuff like that. And then I did PK, which is again a totally different. So I don't think people know what to expect from me, quite honestly. And that's also because I haven't really followed any pattern. I really haven't followed a pattern. I've just gone from one script that excites me to another. And certainly what I get attracted to would be because of who I am. So I would get attracted to Tare Zameen Par, which other people perhaps may not. So the kind of person I am, things that affect me, you know, would also end up becoming somewhere a part of my decision making, because that's what excites me, that's what attracts me.
I mentioned Shah Rukh and Salman Khan, and of course, interestingly, the Khans are the dominant trio in the film industry. All three of you turned 50 in a sense this year, so it's an interesting transition period with a new generation of actors coming, but all three of you very much still around. How do you see the three of you perhaps in your roles in the industry now, because you're very much still leading men?
Yeah, it's quite amazing actually.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think back and I wonder how we've lasted so long. I mean, Shah Rukh and Salman I can still understand, because they really, you know, for me they're the stars. Like the way they look, the way they dress, the way they are, the way they walk into a room, you know, they're very charming.
You had the crowds, Bobby, when you walked in this room as well.
But what I'm trying to say is that I have, you know, I've done things very differently from the two of them. You know, our choices are quite different. What attracts, I think, Salman and Shah Rukh is quite different from what attracts me. So in that sense, we're quite different. But I think we are fortunate to have had the kind of success that we've had. It's not usual. It's not usual for actors to have such a long innings, you know. And the three of us have been around for 25 years now, I think. It's rather unusual. I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for the fact that, you know, I could be around for so long and do the kind of work that I believe in.
We know what's different, but when the three of you, what would you say is the one thing that you perhaps find common amongst the three of you, besides the surname?
Actually, apart from the surname and the same year, we were born in 65. Other than that, there's very little common between the three of us. And the fact that we're all three popular, you know, fairly popular in our own ways. I think other than these three things, there's probably very little in common, but that's also the charm, you know. I think that's the charm. I think Salman brings his own energy to himself, to the work he does, and so does Shah Rukh. And I find that, you know, when I meet them, I'm quite mesmerized by them. They are very, very charming people. Yeah.
I said I have to get them now and also ask them what they say about Amir Khan and his intensity and passion as well. But I mean, I mentioned, of course, the same surname, and it's weird that at a time like this, when the three of you are really adored across India, and I think that you have people come up and say, oh, why are the Khans ruling Bollywood? Or you have some fringe person somewhere, and it will become publicity because they're talking about you. They're saying they tear up their posters, or they propagate love jihad, etc. You've seen that they suddenly talk about this. Does it impact you at all, or do you wonder where this is coming from?
It doesn't impact me. It doesn't impact me. I don't think it impacts Salman or Shah Rukh either, because the fact of the matter is that, you know, we are popular because people love us, and the work that we try and do the best work that we can. And I don't think that the people who love us because of our religion or because of any such thing. They like us because they connect with something that they see on screen which is intangible. Why does a person become a star? I don't know. I don't know why people like me. I have no idea. Why did I become a star and not the next person? Who knows? So I think creativity, goes above all of that. When you see a film that you like, it can be from a different language. It could be a Japanese film, it could be a Chinese film. The community the person comes from, the culture the person comes from, the language the person can be totally different, and you can still fall in love with that person. It happens to all of us as audiences of cinema. So these ikka dukka people, who come up and say this is, in life all kinds of people say all kinds of things. I don't know whether we should be, I don't feel that the necessity to respond to that. I really don't feel that there is any necessity to respond to that. If people don't want to see us, they won't see our films. Nobody needs to make a proclamation for that.
But you don't find that there has been any kind of, when an issue like Love Jihad comes up, you don't think that that's something you need to comment on, just perhaps to speak out and make your point clear that this is
that's totally different.
Yes.
Speaking about an issue is totally different.
But when it comes up in reference to you or to Shah Rukh, when it comes up in reference to either of you?
Well, I think that I have never held back from speaking on issues. I've never held back from speaking on issues.
The opposite, and it's
yeah, sometimes I've gotten in trouble
most
of the time. But I think that's what a democracy is all about. You should be free to air what you feel, and sometimes you may be wrong also. Sometimes I may change my mind. 6 months later, I might feel that yaar, wo jo maine kaha theek nahi tha. We change, we grow as people. Only the people who are so fixed in their thinking that they never change is the people who don't grow actually. So I'm even open to changing my own mind. As we go along in life, and I feel everyone has a right to their opinion, and I don't think that a person's opinion will actually change the way I feel. So if one person says that the three Khans are XYZ and we should not watch their films, that's that one person's opinion. I respect that person's opinion, but I don't think the rest of the country is going to change because of that. People are intelligent, they have their own feelings about things, and I don't think they're so easily swayed, and if they are, then that's the truth of the matter.
No, I think in fact it's a positive sign of how much the three of you are celebrated, and religion has been so irrelevant in
fact I would say that in a country like India, where I think 80% of the population is of one community, and the three actors who are very popular in that time, of course many other actors are also popular, happen to be from another community. That speaks a lot for our country, for our culture, for how we are as people. That speaks a lot, I think. And I don't think that, at least to me as a person growing up in India, that has not been part of my, in the society that I come from, or in the surroundings that I come from, it's not been something that I've been even aware of. I went to a school which had kids of all communities and languages. I think that's
of
lived
course
in a place where, and my parents brought me up in a way. We constantly, we celebrated all the various festivals of different communities and religions in our own home.
I think that's the India, of course, you celebrate. But you don't feel sometimes, because again, this has been an issue when Shah Rukh Khan had written an article about 2 years ago when it talked about being an Indian Muslim. Do you think defining you as that, in a sense, takes away from the person you are, or do you think when a name or religion gets attached, how do you feel about that?
I look at myself as a human being. Now you can start putting labels on me. You can call me Indian, because even India is a country which has been demarcated by human beings. I don't think that the earth itself had planned that, or the person who's made all of us, or who makes everything, nature makes us work, had not made these demarcations. So we have made these demarcations. Who's an Indian, who's a Japanese, I personally see all of us as human beings. And so I hesitate to put any label on myself.
There's been a lot of controversy recently about the issue of intolerance, about freedom of expression, freedom of speech. You just had the Supreme Court strike down Section 66A. Do you think India is moving towards a more tolerant, open society, or do you find that there is also, in a way, some kind of, I wouldn't use the word censorship, but I think some kind of carefulness about which areas or which paths to tread or not, whether it's on making movies, whether it's on what you can express? How do you see the India of today?
Well, I think that I think it's you see all kinds of things in that's the beauty of India actually. You see all sides of everything in India. So you see, let's take PK for example. PK is a film which is on a very sensitive topic.
Yes.
Religion is a very sensitive topic to all Indians, irrespective of what religion they come from. And a film like PK, which is about this very sensitive topic, goes on to become the biggest success by leaps and bounds compared to the previous success. That tells you that India as a country, the people of India are really open to new thoughts, to new ideas. Or actually it's not a new thought, it's a thought that a lot of people before us have also conveyed. Kabir has said it so often. What the film is saying is what Kabir has said many times. A number of great thinkers have said similar things. So it's not a new thought actually, but it's being said after a long time, at least on a public platform. And the fact that people in such large numbers have taken to the film indicates that India is actually very tolerant and is open and is listening. A lot depends on your attitude and how you're saying something. If I'm saying something to hurt you, you will get hurt. If I'm saying it with an open heart, where I'm myself searching, it will also help you to look at it. You may still agree, you may still disagree, but it may not hurt you. But at the same time, there were also groups which protested against the film. And I respect their feeling also, because each one of us genuinely feels those things. So those few people who did try to, stop the screening of the film and who were upset with the film, I respect their feelings. It's not that I don't. I just feel that you should not take law into your own hands. There's a process that we follow as filmmakers or certification. Once that is done, you can say I don't like the film. You can tell other people don't watch it. You can go on your WhatsApp and say mat dekho ye film. But zabardasti tod taad karna, taking law into your own hands is not right. That's what I feel. That's where you have to draw the line. So in censorship, this is what I feel. You can be against content. You can say I don't like this content. This content I don't agree with at all, or it upsets me. You can advise other people not to watch it. Today is a time of social media where you can reach out to so many people and express your feelings. But to physically stop something is not right. But as I was saying earlier, that I feel that people are open. You were asking me a question, are Indians tolerant? I think, and that's our strength. Our strength is, see, the day we stop looking inward is when we stop growing. The ability to look at yourself and wonder, is this right or wrong, is a fantastic quality. And this is a quality that Indians should never lose.
What is your, I talked about...
And we should not feel scared. See, criticism should never scare. Like when somebody criticizes my film, I don't get scared. I feel that's a very welcome thing. I want to hear what the person is saying. I may still disagree with the person, but I'm very keen to know, what is it that you didn't like about my film? I want to know. It only makes me better.
But what if someone criticizes you personally? Because there's a lot of that flying around, especially on social media. It should be called anti-social media sometimes.
Sometimes it looks like anti-social. See, social media is a place where we all have to understand one thing. You can have your identity hidden. Your name is not known. Your face is not known. Who you are is not known. It's like standing in a crowd and throwing a stone on somebody. So anyone can do that. So the format is such that anyone can say anything and get away with it because nobody knows who you are. So it has to be taken with that pinch of salt. It has to be taken with that pinch of salt. It's a great platform to understand trends also. When a lot of people say something, you understand what people are saying. But you have to be able to understand that this is the content that is something of value, and this is just some person shouting and ranting away, which I need to ignore.
Extraneous noise.
Yeah.
I said this is a...
You should be able to filter that,
Of course. I said this is a conversation of ideas. What is your idea of India today, or the society around you today? Because too often it's associated with political parties that, the UPA had one idea of India, the NDA has another idea of India. What for you as a Indian, who's a role model for many, is your idea of India?
I think, for me, my idea of India is what the first page of the Constitution says, the preamble to the Constitution. That, I think, holds my idea of India. In India, a society where there is liberty, there is freedom, there is security, there is equality, there is justice for all, there is fraternity, there is brotherhood. That's the kind of India I look for. That's my idea of India, where we care for each other, we care for people who are less privileged. And which is what I was saying today, at the FICCI Frames. I was trying to convey something, that the film industry or the creative field, not just the film industry, I think the media, news channels or television channels, films, or any creative person, what is my contribution? Is it just to entertain you, or is it just to inform you, or can it be larger than that? And I feel it can be larger. I feel here is an opportunity for us, for this generation. And it's up to us whether we want to take that opportunity or not. We can let it go also. And that opportunity is what? You see, how do you achieve what we dream of? All of us have a dream in our hearts of what India can be. A place which is happy, a place which is prosperous, a place which is safe. How do you achieve that? Do you achieve it by laws? Can you achieve it by forcing people? Can I force a person to follow the traffic signals? I can't. They're constantly breaking it. The red light is not going to stop me. I see it all the time, I see it every day. So what is going to stop that? We can make highways, we can invest in infrastructure. But when are we going to invest in the software, which is human beings, and the way we think? Because I can make hardware, I can make a highway which is 4-lane, but I still have a truck coming on my side.
Do you find that your colleagues listen to you when you talk to them about nation building in Bollywood, while they make their movies?
No, they listen. But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm saying there should be a rule that everyone has to do it. No, I'm just saying be aware of that. Be aware that you can do that. And if you do that, then you will be actually, contributing a lot towards, because ultimately for the nation to change, I went to Japan recently. And wherever we went, whether it's in the hotel or in a taxi or a restaurant, when we tried to tip the people who served us, they didn't take a tip. They refused it, each and every place. They said, we've already been paid for the work we are doing. It showed their self-respect. It showed that they respected what they were doing, and they wanted to be respected. Now, imagine a society where people don't take a tip. They feel that they've got their money, why should they be given anything more than that? That's the dignity that they have about themselves. Imagine that society. A society which doesn't take tips. How will they take bribes, tell me?
That's something you've talked about a lot.
They don't take tips, why will they take bribes? Now imagine a generation 20 years from now which has got really high integrity, which doesn't indulge in corruption. All these crores, the 1,000 crores scams we hear of stop happening. Imagine that society. That's a bit of a dream I'm painting right now, but just imagine it for 2 seconds. Would we like that? Would we like to reach there? If we would, then the way to reach there is through creative people. Creative people have to bring about a change in people's hearts, and especially children. We have to encourage them to be more caring. We have to encourage them to be more loving.
You got a young baby in the house right now, so I suppose the focus is so much on children. But it's interesting you say that, because people tend to say, oh, this is the politician's problem, or this is the government's problem. You had met Prime Minister Modi recently and had talked about issues raised in Satyamev Jayate.
It was very hopeful. I think that, like everyone else, I too have a lot of hopes from our Prime Minister, from the present government. They are a majority in the Lok Sabha, and we are hoping that they deliver in all the promises that they have made. And I do believe that we should give them that opportunity, and we should, show that trust and faith in them.
In Maharashtra, the beef ban has a lot of criticism of the beef ban. There have been demonstrations against it, people saying that it will affect their livelihood. The recent stoning of a church, and there have been very strong statements made by the Archbishop of Bombay, etc., on how they are feeling that minorities are feeling threatened. Are these issues that concern you?
Oh, well, I think that in any society when minorities are threatened, and the beef ban is slightly more complex an issue than just minorities being threatened. So I'm going to
Yeah, the two
treat them
separate
as
issues,
separate
yeah.
issues.
Yes.
Whenever minorities are threatened or anyone is threatened, it could be a majority person also who's threatened. That is very unfortunate. And at that time, we certainly do look towards our leaders, towards people who we've selected and elected, our representatives, to take strong and firm action. When we see silence coming from the people who we've selected in situations like this, that is disappointing. That is worrying. That does make us feel, what is this person doing? I selected this person and he's not really stepping in when he should. It can be a majority community person, minority community person, anyone. When there is some kind of violence being used or threat being used, we expect the state to move. And we want them to move at that time. We want them to move strongly and firmly. So it doesn't matter who it is. I expect that as a citizen. The beef ban is a much more complicated issue. I think it's got to do with the emotional feelings of a whole lot of people on the one side. On the other side, it's got to do with other people who feel differently, who have a business they're running, who have a certain lifestyle that they're following. It's a more complicated issue. I'm not sure what the right solution for that is.
Right.
It's a very, in all fairness, it's a very complicated issue. And therefore, it has to be handled in that delicate way as well.
Amir, I've interviewed you many times over the years, and this is probably the healthiest I've ever seen you.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
is that?
No, not healthy. I'm extremely unhealthy right now. I'm 90 kilos. Yeah,
Okay, so that's...
My ideal weight is around 65, 67.
And in Gajini, how much were you? You must have been
Gajini, I
about-
was 67, 68.
Okay, so you're...
Even in 3 Idiots, I was that 68 is my ideal weight. With muscle also weighs a little more.
Why are you 90 kilos?
I'm getting ready for a role. I'm playing ex-wrestler, father of 2 grown daughters, father of 4 daughters, 2 of whom are like fully grown daughters, 20s, 18, 20. So I'm trying to put on weight so that I can look older. My hair, by the time we start shooting, will be, salt and pepper, and my beard as well. So I'm trying to age myself.
After you, from a college student, when you got
Yeah.
became much younger, now you're aging yourself.
Well, and the thing is, as an actor, that's the fun part of it, that you get to play different characters. And if you really want to, you can dive in and do it, to the full. So that's the challenge for me as an actor, to look a different human being. Every time you see me in the film, I should appear like a different human being. So hopefully that will happen in Dangal. I feel very unhealthy. My breathing has changed. I feel funny when I look at myself. I'm so fat.
But he makes his daughters wrestlers, so that's a great message right there. And it's a
It's a
real
great
life
story.
story in a sense. So it's
Yeah, it's a
happening.
great
So
story.
it's excellent. And Amir, of course, as I said, there's still a leading man. But does it ever bother you that your leading ladies get younger and younger? Why is it that in Bollywood that's one age barrier that doesn't break?
My leading ladies don't get younger, do they?
Anushka must be in her 20s.
No, Anushka. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but you see, the thing is that in PK I'm an alien.
Yes, so she's not really your
So
love
she's
in
not
that
really
sense.
my love or interest or anything in that. I mean, and we don't really know what the alien's age is. He could be 103 or something. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
Heroes don't romance women their age.
I know what you're saying. That usually actors have a longer shelf life, if you can put it that way.
You should buck the trend. Make sure in your movies that you have heroines who are similar ages to you.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I don't think that way. So in the films that I've produced or the films that we've been part of, we don't really think that way. The person who's appropriate for the part is selected. I don't think it's got anything to do with age. So if an older person is required, you get an older person.
So Amir,
I mean, I'm putting on weight and looking fat and strange. I wouldn't have done that if I had felt differently.
so no insecurity. I think the one sign also that there are no insecurities.
For me, I'm very insecure.
Do you still feel does the box office
No, I'm very
results
insecure.
still worry you? Are you as
Yeah.
tense?
I'm extremely insecure. See, I've been successful for some time now, so people feel I'm not, they feel that I'm confident or secure. I'm not. I'm really frightened because each time I'm one of the few actors who really takes a lot of risks each time. Even a film like PK, for example, it's a very risky project to do, or a film like Tare Zameen Par or Lagan. These are very unusual films. Now I'm becoming fat and old. I don't know how people are going to react to me, but I just love the story, so I just want to do it. Am I scared? Of course I am. Will people stop liking me? That thought comes to me all the time. Every time I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, this is the end of me.
No, they said it's
But,
3 decades and they're still going strong.
But what I'm saying is that, am I insecure? Yes, I am. I go through doubts like everyone else. I go through fears. I go through worrying. But the good thing is that it doesn't stop me from doing what I want to do. I get scared, but I still do what I feel like doing. And I do it with all my heart. I feel कि यार अगर fail होना है ना, तो do it fully and fail, no problem. आधा आधा मत करो. Don't be hesitant. Don't get run out. Go for the shot and...
You always said you won't enter active politics, but do you think, you said you got right to change your opinions, do you think you'll ever enter active politics?
No, you know, I feel, no, I don't think I'll enter active politics. And the reason for that is that I really feel I can contribute a lot more towards society, towards people, towards, you know, things around me. From where I am, I can contribute a lot more from here.
How do you deal with the Bollywood politics then? Because there is often...
Bollywood politics, so I'm not part of only. I'm the last person to know what's happening in Bollywood, because usually I'm so lost in my own world that I'm the last person to know. There's a film, I think, in which Paresh Rawal does a role, Judai, I think it's called, or some film, I forget the name, in which he's constantly got a question mark on his forehead and he's always asking, Kya hua?
He's an MP now, yeah.
No, but in the film he's... So, Karan jokes that I'm like Paresh Rawal of that film, that character, who he just doesn't know what's happening.
As we end, Amar, I said, well, nearly 3 decades in the industry, 50 a milestone year for you. You think your biggest achievement in these years, and the biggest mistake you've perhaps made?
I think my biggest achievement, achievement is perhaps the wrong word, because I don't look at things as achievements. I think my biggest, the most satisfying thing for me has been Satyameva Jayate. This experience of this 5 years of researching topics, understanding how India is, meeting people from different parts, different corners, small villages, has been a very enriching journey. So I think that's been very satisfying for me. What is the other part you asked? What is my
biggest mistake? Or what do you think, maybe you look back, say that was the biggest disappointment, I'd never do that again?
Never do that again. I don't
If there's
know.
none, that's great.
No, I've made many mistakes. Don't mistake that. But I'm not sure that I don't want to make the mistakes. I think the mistakes are very much a part of me. You know, everything that I've done which I've not been happy with later on, sometimes even while doing it, are all part of me. That's me, you know, that's who I am. I'm not sure I want to change that. Also, you know, your mistakes are what you learn from the most. So I'm not sure I want to discard them. I am where I am, not only because of my successes, but also because of my failures and my mistakes. They've been the things that have taught me the most. I don't know which will be my biggest, there have been so many.
It's not about Amar Khan. I think keep entertaining us, keep communicating, and I think a wonderful role model. Thanks so much for joining us. Thank you.